Erst die Hose.
First trousers, then shoes. Good design is pragmatic. My name is Oliver Gestheimer. Welcome to my HMI Design Masterclass.
Was brauchen wir wirklich?
What tools do we really need in the craft of designing and creating? Basically, just our head. Before we lose ourselves in the details on the computer and start pushing boxes around, I want to show how fast sketching on paper is. Right now, I have a dashboard in mind with a navigation menu on the side with 3 levels. And I believe a dashboard with 4 elements could be the ideal solution. Which looks like this. This sketch took about 5 to 10 seconds to make. But now I decide 6 elements would work better in the dashboard. Or I want to add features, so I sketch this on top, using a different pen. And I have an alternative layout. We have prepared some templates to make this easier for you, because there's nothing harder than starting with a blank piece of paper. The sketch template looks like this. I pin it below the sketch. The design area is here, and we have space for comments as well. To make a point here about what is good design dialogue with paper and analog tools, we can create this sketch of a dashboard with 6 elements in just 1 minute. Now imagine what you can achieve in 1 hour of designing and creating alternatives for tasks, and you have established what we call excellent design dialogue.
HMI Design.
Designing an HMI is a lot like planning a house. Let's close our eyes and imagine going into a house. The first thing we see is the foyer, or entrance area, and there are doors leading to other areas. That's the main screen of a good HMI, which offers a navigation menu to show us the rooms we can enter. Further, when we enter a kitchen, we immediately recognize functional elements that tell us it's a kitchen. And it's the same with a bathroom or a living room. It's very important to take these room characteristics and bring them into a flat 2D user interface. Let's look at this model for an HMI, the main screen. What do we need to know when we plan the ground floor of a house? We need to know how many rooms there are, how large they are, which items go into the rooms, and which functions need to be there. For an HMI, we do the same. Here, I have pinned a system tree, which represents the entire ground floor. We have a dashboard with 2 sublevels, so 2 small rooms or subspaces in a room, and we have a configuration area. And I'm not going through all the details, but we have a classical model with 5 or 6 elements on the ground floor. Again, you don't need a computer for the first analyses. Get to the point and act like an architect building your HMI house, but with many other users in mind. We've been talking about architecture, HMI design, and the basic layout of a house. Now we move on to the individual rooms and functional areas. Let's work on a room. I have chosen the foyer for this. So I would like to design the main screen. I have identified 3 main entry points: the user login, data analyses, such as historical data, and several settings areas that I would like to include. To stick with the house metaphor, I am entering the functional area of a kitchen, which is important, but I also have a storage space, for example, a pantry or other rooms. I had a different first draft that contained login elements, but when we look at this basic design, we have 3 main areas, and I can go into smaller sub-areas. In architecture, large pieces of furniture have high relevance and impact. In the main screen, these 3 elements are the ones that are most relevant. These are large doors, and the user elements are used occasionally, or at least not as frequently. Let's look at the dashboard. Here we have values and statistics that are highly visible. This house has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rooms. 5 are functional rooms that are on a sub-level, and 1 is the foyer and entrance area. What you see here is basically a morning's work of sketching. This is a step where we need to stress frequency and relevance again. When we arrange the rooms, We need to focus on the main functions and not work on fonts or details. Imagine you are putting the largest and most important pieces of furniture into your living room first. That's what you need to focus on in this step. Light switches. Yes, we are talking about light switches. Why? Because light switches are always at the same height, they work every time, and they are probably one of the best interfaces in the world that we know. Consistency is essential. All light switches need to be at the same height on the wall in a building. We get used to it, and this is what we want to achieve with our users and how we can win them over. Create habits and patterns they get used to, so they can perform certain actions in the HMI design almost intuitively. Let me demonstrate this with an example. We have buttons for next and back that are always in the same place, no matter where we are. These are the light switches, which we can easily switch on and off. What we achieve by this is high expectation conformity, a term in the field of usability, meaning that users get what they expect in this place. What happens when we are inconsistent in the design logic? We lose time during training and during daily operation. Consistency is a core criterion in HMI design to maintain good standards. We have designed the basic layout, we have allocated the first functional areas, and we have integrated consistent interaction areas into our concept. Now, we could call it a day and declare our house design done. Let's call in the contractors and start building. But you would never build your house this way, right? We are in the middle of the design creation process. For a designer, working with alternatives is absolutely essential. That's why we are what we are as designers. We are never content with just one solution. My first design was very linear. I used categories to set dimension parameters. My second draft used a 3D view, and I was not really happy with that. And this is a third version, where I used a flat representation for a part of the machine. Now, I'm still not happy, but I have 3 alternative designs that I can quickly share with other experts and discuss what would be the best solution, at first glance and instinctively, for setting up a part of a machine. Keep in mind that your design can look like the phase we're in. It can be basic, sketchy, rough, but we need to take this further in our iteration. So we can and should see whether colors help us make buttons stand out. What I am trying to show you is that even in this early basic design stage, we learn how to use color and highlight areas and interactions on these stylistic elements. Use color to highlight functional relations in this stage. This is also part of exploring different designs. We have completed the first designs, but we have been in a design dialogue with ourselves. Sometimes, there are several people in an HMI design team, but many HMI designers work by themselves, especially during the first stages of the design. This dialogue, that is really a monologue, needs to become objective. To get an objective perspective, you need to present your design on a wall and include a new partner in the dialogue. Not me in a design dialogue with my own alternative designs. This new partner could be a colleague or a design pro, or when possible, a real user working with similar HMIs or machines. A good dialogue will lead to discussion, getting objective feedback on the designs and on what works better or not. And we can get ideas to put in our ideas space. In any case, working together is a good way to create user-centric designs. And I have a special piece of advice at this point. You should use rough sketches and do a lot of iterations, but create a small spin-off project where you refine one screen further to make it more appealing and visually attractive. This showcase of your work will help you make project stakeholders happy. This finishes Unit 3, our big picture. As always, the 6 tips are available in the download PDF, along with some templates that will help you. And keep in mind that a good HMI starts in your head.
Hey, da seid ihr ja wieder.
Hi again. Next time, we will deal with visualization, model making, and fitting in all those tiny elements. Even if I can't seem to manage this here,